People have been talking about the Burkina Faso president development, how he's building mega projects in Burkina Faso to transform the country. Really, I thought about the same thing initially. In fact, like most people, I had written it off as another unstable West Africa country, struggling often overlooked. But that was before I started seeing shocking headlines like Burkina Faso launches gold refinery, Burkina Faso gets new aircraft for Air Burkina, President Traore launched the Faso train. Wait, what? A country at war with armed groups suddenly building gold refineries, schools, and highways, run state-owned gold companies building solar farms in the Sahel. It didn't make sense. How was any of this even possible? So I started digging, not into speeches, not into propaganda, but into actual projects, documents, and the deeper I went, the more something became clear. This is a government that is intentional about building a self-reliant economy. But what exactly are they building, and is it really working? Well, since Traore's rise to power, Burkina Faso has launched massive infrastructure projects, a 5,000-kilometer road building campaign. This includes major highways linking Ouagadougou with conflict-prone regions. The new 5,000-kilometer reduces travel time and gives displaced communities access to markets and aid. Locals have mobilized, including thousands of women working for free. But the dystopian narrative framed about this country for several years was changed under the bold leadership of Captain Traore. Since his assumption of office, his vision was clear enough. He was determined to use groundbreaking mega projects to reshape the country's infrastructure, revitalize the country, and strengthening national defense, improving healthcare, agriculture, pushing Burkina Faso's first cultural narrative, and investing in education and youth empowerment. These bold initiatives have repositioned Burkina Faso in the global stage and set it sail on the right direction towards future growth, resilience, and stability. So without further ado, here are mega projects that are transforming Burkina Faso right now. Number one on the list is Air Burkina. President Ibrahim Traore has led the revival of Air Burkina, which is a major progress in the country's aviation sector. In October 2024, after being grounded for 6 months, Burkina Faso's national carrier Air Burkina took off once again. Its inaugural flight was Ouagadougou to Dakar with a stop in Bamako. To a nation rebuilding its image, its infrastructure, and its identity, this was a signal that Burkina Faso was back in the air. At the heart of this revival was a brand new Embraer 190 aircraft, a $109 million investment that was sealed through strategic diplomacy at the China-Africa Forum. This aircraft is efficient, flexible, and built for short runway and region routes. The kind of aircraft perfect for a nation reconnected with its neighbor. Destinations like Abidjan, Accra, Cotonou, Lomé, Niamey, and Bobo Dioulasso are now within reach. And that is just the beginning. With the revival of the Air Burkina, the Burkina Faso president is building mobility, regional integration, and national pride. Number two, cashew processing plant. Cashew processing is another mega project Captain Traore is using to transform Burkina Faso. I know a cashew processing plant may seem too simple to be considered a mega project, but what the president did is quite revolutionary. For years, Burkina Faso exported raw cashew nuts, watching foreign companies process them, package them, and sell them back at 5 times the price. That is not just trade imbalance, that is a lost opportunity. And Traore knew it. So they built a factory, a state-of-the-art cashew processing plant designed to create tens of thousands of jobs. Some say 20,000, others estimated up to 50,000. Either way, it is massive. Projects like this would help Burkina Faso achieve economic sovereignty, taking a product that grows on your soil and making sure the value stays with your people is one of the best ways to achieve economic sovereignty. Burkina Faso is no longer just a supplier of raw goods. It is becoming a producer, an exporter, a player in the global agro-industry. On its own terms, cashew by cashew, job by job, they are building something deeper than a factory. They are building a future. Number 3, Burkina Faso Postal Bank. One thing is clear so far. Burkina Faso President Captain Traore is not just fixing the country, but he is building things that were never allowed to exist in the first place. The Burkina Faso Postal Bank is one of such things. It was made for the people who have been left out of the system. This project began in 1988. It sat unfinished for over 3 decades, paused, postponed, and eventually forgotten. Until October 7, 2024, that is the day President Ibrahim Traore finally opened its door. And just like that, an idea that had been gathering dust for 36 years was brought to life. The mission is simple and powerful. Make finance accessible, not just for corporations or the connected, but for rural farmers, for women, for young people, for millions who have been offered a seat at the economic table. With $25 million in capital to start, the Postal Bank is offering savings accounts, microloans, and tailored financial tools for those who have never had them. This is not about profit, it is about inclusion, giving someone in a remote village the same financial dignity as someone in the city. Because real development does not only pave roads or build airports, it builds trust. And with the Postal Bank, Burkina Faso just took one of its most meaningful steps towards a truly inclusive economy. Number 4, tomato processing plant. Economic progress does not always come in the form of shiny tech or billion-dollar deals. Sometimes it shows up in the form of a tomato. And what Burkina Faso did with that tomato is something worth paying attention to. For several years, the country, like many others across the continent, depended on imported tomato paste. They are shipped from overseas. Even though tomatoes were growing in abundance right there in Burkina Faso's own soil, farmers were producing, but factories were somewhere else, so profit were too. But in 2024, that changed. In the city of Bobo Dioulasso, a fully local funded tomato processing plant opened its door. Yes, locally funded by citizens inside the country and those living in the diaspora. And what they built is remarkable. A facility that processes 100 tons of tomato a day, 800 kilograms of finished product every hour. This plant can provide over 10,000 jobs, both direct and indirect. Projected revenues is in the billions of CFA francs over the next 5 years. And most importantly, a safety net for farmers who for decades watched their crops rot post-harvest because there was no one to buy them. This is what grassroots industrialization looks like. Number 5, cotton and textile processing plant. Burkina Faso, which is considered Africa's cotton king, is no longer a supplier for others. President Traore National Cotton Processing Center paints a new narrative. Uniforms for police and military, woven by local hands, creating jobs and boosting the economy. It is a whole cultural rebirth as the country's lawyers dump European wigs for African attire. Students now wear Faso Dafani textiles to school, and a ban on second-hand clothes has been declared. Captain Traore now wants the Burkinabe people to wear their pride. With this bold initiative, Burkina Faso is gradually stitching its heritage into every thread. Number 6, Bob Dioulasso Airport expansion. Generally, Burkina Faso has 2 major airports. The first one is the Ouagadougou, which is currently overcrowded, aged, and long overdue for replacement. And the second airport is the Bobo Dioulasso, and it is currently being modernized by Captain Traore. Bobo Dioulasso Airport is undergoing full-scale modernization after the president announced the investment of 80 billion francs. This huge investment is aimed at making Bobo Dioulasso Airport a regional aviation hub. The upgrade or modernization features a new terminal that will handle 1.5 million passengers annually with runways, taxiway, and parking areas. New access roads are being constructed also to streamline ground transport. This project is a catalyst for tourism, trade, and investment in the country. According to Burkina Faso president, this new ambitious project would reshape the country's future. Number 7, agricultural empowerment. For decades, Burkina Faso's agricultural potentials remain untapped, but that is changing very fast under the leadership of Captain Traore. The president recently launched one of the most aggressive agricultural overhauls in the country's history. In 2024 alone, Burkina Faso distributed over 400 tractors, 339 motorcycles, and 710 water pumps to farmers. The farmers were also given 69,000 tons of fertilizers, 80,000 tons of seedlings, 10,000 tons of animal feeds, plus fish food, tools, and access to land. In a nutshell, Captain Traore is providing everything Burkina Faso's farmers need to move from subsistence farming to modern production. Burkina Faso is also training tens of thousands of young people through agri-tech incubators. These youths are given lands, equipment, and the requisite training to turn farming into a business. President Ibrahim Traore has consistently emphasized that agriculture is not just about growing food, but it is one of the cardinal pillars of sustainable development in the country. Number 8, Ouagadougou Domain Airport. Ouagadougou current airport has the safety issues as it is too small, close to the city, and no longer safe for the volume it handles. So Burkina Faso, under the leadership of Captain Traore, is building a brand new international airport, Ouagadougou Dosin, which is located 35 kilometers northeast of the capital. The new airport airport represents everything an airport should be: 3.5-kilometer runway, scalable to for a terminal building designed to handle 1 million passengers annually. And the good part of this is the airport is over 80% complete. The airport is scheduled to be completed by the end of 2025. What impresses most people about this new airport is how it is built. Low carbon concentrate developed with a local research team and a 25 megawatt solar power station on site to reduce reliance on imported electricity. This new airport is designed to make Burkina Faso a serious player in West Africa airspace. Number 9. University Hospital of Pala. For decades, the only way to access advanced healthcare in Burkina Faso is to leave the country. But this narrative is changing. A new 500-bed university hospital in Pala is being built to provide world-class medical service to the Burkinabé people. Built in partnership with Chinese government, this facility offers treatments that were once completely unavailable in the country. There is another 300-bed under construction in Gaoua, which will serve the southwest and neighboring countries like Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. The essence of this gigantic health project is to decentralize healthcare, modernize services, and bring hospitals to the people, and not the other way around. Mobile clinics now reach rural areas with diagnostics like mammography and colonoscopy. Refrigerated vehicles and solar power cold storage are keeping vaccines safe and accessible. It's all part of Traore's broader plan: build a healthcare system that works everywhere. Number 10. Alliance of Sahel states. In what is considered one of the boldest geopolitical moves in recent African history, President Ibrahim Traore joined forces with Mali and Niger to form the Alliance of Sahel states. This is a formal exit from ECOWAS. No negotiations, no apologies, just a clear message: we are done. In a symbolic gesture, Burkina Faso's new passport no longer features the ECOWAS logo. Number 11. Housing development. Housing development is another area Burkina Faso President Captain Traore is making waves. There is a high rate of displacement in the country. Years of insecurity forced thousands to flee their homes. Entire community uprooted with nowhere stable to return to. In response to this national housing crisis, the President of Burkina Faso has started the construction of 1,000 social housing units. These housing development initiatives give the displaced Burkinabé people a chance to rebuild their lives in stable, safe, and permanent homes. Beyond the housing itself, the development plan includes road rehabilitation, new urban layouts, and upgraded public spaces designed to transform abandoned settlements into functional and livable towns. Number 12. Gold permit deal with Russia. Generally, Burkina Faso is rich in gold, but for years, the wealth flowed outward into foreign hands, foreign banks, and foreign market. But President Traore decided it was time to reverse that flow. So in 2020, his government granted a major gold mining permit to Russia's North Gold. This bold move was an indication that the country was stepping away from its old partners in the West and forging new alliances. But it was more than diplomatic ties, it was about control. Alongside the gold mining deal with Russia, the country launched its own state mining company and created the National Gold Reserve. This is something no leader had ever done in the past. One thing that President Ibrahim Traore's regime did that shocked the world was the expulsion of French troops, the official end of Operation Sabre, and perhaps most symbolic of all was dropping French as the official language. The country is really making an effort to reclaim its identity.